Good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 21st day of April 2020. Well, I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you're staying safe and staying home and doing your part to save lives right now. Not everybody's doing that, and I don't understand that, but you know, I guess we make our choices, and what will be is what's going to be, right? It's either going to work out for them. I have to bend my cards back. They're kind of bent. I hope it works out for them. I hope that nobody gets ill. I know that some pastors, there's been a couple of pastors, I guess, that have died or gotten it or died as well. I've been reading that have been having these big church services. And so I don't know. I think that it's I don't think it's the best choice. Let's just say that. I know a lot of people are taking this opportunity to, make personal pot shots at some of these folks, especially, but I don't think that it's going to help the situation. I think that facts seem to elude some right now, and you know who I blame. If you've been here before, you know where I put the blame for that. But at the end of the day, you can only listen to so much nonsense. And if at some point you don't figure it out, I don't know what to tell you, and now we're in a life or death situation. So I don't know. I think it's better to stay home if you can, I mean, we live life, we go out every 2 weeks roughly. When we do, we go out with masks and gloves, and we take every precaution. We take a spray bottle with us with the alcohol and water solution. Just in case we need to spray something down before we put it in the car. I don't know. This may be the way that it is for the foreseeable future for those of us with, compromised immune systems or of a certain age. So, and it has to do with the fact that you've got a number of people that will not cooperate, who feel that this is an impingement upon their sovereignty and their own personal freedom. Well, yeah, I mean, you can look at it that way, but right now, we're in a 22 year, and tomorrow we have a gateway opening, a 4/22/22 gateway. So we have the cosmic builder appearing twice, and 4 is, if you were to reduce it, that's what you come up to. So, which you don't, though, when you have the 22, you don't with 11s or 33s or any of those. You don't add them together and reduce them to its final number. We're in a 22 years, we've talked about here, and that's the cosmic builder. It's the most profound and most powerful number we have. And what it's promising is profound change of a structural level. You can look at the 4 aspect of it, and you're talking about a greater level of harmony than having to do with our physical structure that we, our relationship structure as well, not just our physical structure, but 4. Well, if you go back to the 2, you're looking at you're looking at reciprocity, you're looking at balancing polarity within and like healing the relationship with, say, one other person. You're usually talking about, 2 people when you're looking at the 2. With the 4, though, you can look in terms of family. You can look at terms of a foundational structure for one's life. And so when you look at a 22 year or any kind of 22 energy, you're talking about a profound level of change. Now, I believe it reduces back to the 2. And so we're talking about a balancing of polarity within and a balancing of polarity without. So what we're talking about there, and what this gateway is going to open, is an awareness that we are collectively, that we're one, and that we have to go forward in shared purpose. It doesn't mean we will necessarily agree all of the time, but right now the shared purpose should be to end the pandemic. And so whatever we have to do to make that happen, absent therapeutics to lessen its impact, to take the pressure off the hospitals, to stop people from dying, This thing is so virulent. Some people want to have COVID parties, which is nuts. It's reminiscent about when I was growing up, and moms would have the mumps parties and the measles parties to get, maybe they invite other kids over, get it out of the way all at once. That was the thought. Well, you can't think that way about this. It's not the same thing. And it shouldn't have been done back then. But the idea was because we were working and we had to get our kids back in school, you had to get it all over with at one time. Well, you can't take that attitude right now because we don't know what this is. We know it's bad, but we don't know what it is. And so we don't know what the parameters are of our behavior. We don't know. We have no therapeutics for it. Nothing to lessen the impact while you have it, other than whatever you might come up with on your own, but there's nothing that we know really. And so other than staying away from people, and yet, as time goes on, people are less inclined to do it. And unfortunately, it contributes to the expansion of the disease. Moon's in the 11th house Aries right now. We should be focusing safely on networking with others, but at a distance. Conjunct Mercury and the moon, ideas and thoughts and feelings are being expressed very clearly now. Also messages that you're getting from people that ought to know what's going on yet don't. You need to pay attention a little bit there and understand that there's still a lot of deception going on, a lot of blame, a lot of pointing the fingers and not taking responsibility for all the things the federal government's supposed to be responsible for. Oh yeah, not our job. Since when? What, because the Trumps and the Kushners are there? Suddenly the federal government doesn't work for the people anymore? Really? Then why are you there? Go home. We don't need you. If it's all up to the states, then we don't need a federal government. We don't need a president, a vice president. We don't need Congress. We just need our states. See, because that's what he's telling you. That's what he's telling you. And so if a state opens and it destroys the country, well, not his problem. He didn't do it. Not his job, right? Wrong. Yeah, Moon sextile Mars. Make confident decisions today. Don't react to impulse. That's not going to probably get you where you need to go. Also, though, one thing, and we've been seeing this for a while now, physical exercise with stuff interacting with Mars or with Aries. Physical exercise might be an outlet to find your center if things get a little crazy emotionally. Just try to go do some stomach crunches or just anything that gets you moving physically, and go do a mad walk if you need to do a mad walk around the house or whatever. Do whatever you have to do to get the energy going, get the physical energy going, and sometimes that helps you find your center more than meditation will. At least it does for me, because it exhausts all that energy. I'm an empath. And so if energy sticks to me, I got to have a way of getting rid of it. And physical movement can help with that, not just going in and aligning in your own center, although that does too. Sometimes just physically working it out helps. Again, don't be afraid to change your mind about something. If something seems untenable, then just switch up. You just change gears. Sun square Saturn, it's recommending that we just not be afraid to consider other options if something isn't working right now. Focus on steady progress, though. The idea of Saturn is about, and also with Capricorn, anything that might be in Capricorn, it's about steady progress, and versus maybe, a little more flighty energy there. Sextile the north and the north node of the moon and trine the south node of the moon, between that and the sun. That sextile, something new can be on the horizon right now. We may be able to, in some areas, stop self-isolating. We don't know. Maybe some areas have done it long enough. They'd started sooner than other people. And we may be coming to an end for some of that, where some of it can be relaxed a little bit. But we're going to have to play it by ear even then, aren't we? And if we could all just be on the same page about this, which clearly we're not. I think that the issue with the 22 as well is that we're finding a way back to the understanding that life has never been about either or. It's never been about division and separation, that life here was always about moving forward together with the awareness that we are one with each other. When we're not in these bodies, and when we're in the non-physical, we're one energy, we're source energy. And we may be stepped down from, obviously, from the creator itself, but that's what we are. And we align with one another, and we merge with one another, and we love one another. It's all, the creative essence is love. So if what our energy is love, why do we split that when we come here and start focusing on issues of separation, division, and hate, and the other? And then we allow one person to divide us in a way that we've never been divided before. It makes no sense, because now that we all need to be on the same page, we don't trust one another. You see, that's what's happened here. And we have to drop all of that. We have to understand that the enemy is deception and ignorance and lies and the virus. All right? And we have to come back together in shared purpose. So tomorrow, especially be thinking about that now. We've got that energetic gateway opening tomorrow that's reinforcing this 22 year. Let's see. There's just a couple other things I wanted to say. We've got a lot of ninth house stuff. We're going to want to broaden our horizons. We're going to want to think outside the box. Excuse me. I did not touch my face when I did that. I coughed into my hand. But I'm at home with my husband. We're here. We only go places every 2 weeks. We wear masks and gloves. So I don't know. I think we're doing okay, but you just never know. So you have to be vigilant. You can't let up. You can't touch a surface with your hands, bare hands, and not have to worry about what was put there from the last person who touched it, who didn't know that they were sick. Because that's the thing. You're really contagious when you don't know you're sick. So that's what I mean. This is a really weird situation here. Saturn in conjunct the North Node. This is one of the things I wanted to mention before we move on to the cards. We may be forced to change life direction now, or at least the perception we have surrounding our life's direction. It's a time of great genesis and positive change with the 22 year. Most of what we think is carved in stone is simply perception. And so, you can always think another thought. Choose another idea. Make a different choice. If you're feeling sad, make a different choice. Choose to feel happy. Focus on something that brings you happiness and joy. When you start feeling down, go do that and see how easy it is. See how easy it is to move away from fear and from doubt and from sadness. It really is. You just have to have the will to do it. You have to have the will to look in a different direction. And I guess that's all we're saying, really. Use this 22 energy to do that. So let's go ahead and get started on the cards. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you so much for coming by and sharing this time with us. As we look at the cards and the runes and the astrology to kind of get an idea of where we are at every given moment of the day. Esoteric influences are up on the blog over at Stepping Aside at imsteppingaside.com if you want to go check that out. You have to kind of scroll down a little bit to see it. I also post this over there, so kind of have to go down a bit and you'll find it. You can take a look at what I have for the week. It covers numerology, the lunar picture for the week, runes for the week, and human design for the week. So, and that's I Ching stuff. So that's very cool. If you haven't seen that, I mean, go check it out. I think you'll be surprised how prescient it is. So anyhow, let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards. I'm going to take the 13th card for randomness sake. If you haven't already been here before, why is she counting those cards? Well, that's why. So anyway, let's get going on the cards and see what we have. Well, we start with the King of Swords. We had him yesterday, so I guess we're still going to be talking about a person in authority who is deceiving us. You know, there's just some people in this world that lie all the time. They can't tell the truth for anything. Sometimes it's you can find a clinical reason for it, uh, and where someone is mentally ill, you know, and that's just part of the etiology of the lies. Sometimes it's dementia. They confabulate and they don't really know that they don't know that they're not telling the truth because their mind is becoming Swiss cheese at that point, and they can't make the connections that they normally would make to understand, you know, what they're doing or the ramifications of it. You know, that's why you may have a person go out in their underwear or naked or whatever when they have dementia. Just walk out of the house like that. They don't know, they don't understand what they're doing. And so you can have a lot of that right now with the king who just doesn't comprehend anything. And, you know, his sword is askew. He can't look in the eye. There's deception behind him. And yeah, we're dealing with that right now. I think it's, all you have to do is just watch one press conference and you know that that's what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with an extraordinarily unaware, unfit, unwell individual who just does not get what's going on here and never has, and people have died as a result. So we have to do something. Something has to happen. Looks like we're waiting for it there. The Three of Wands. It's about active waiting. It's about waiting for your ship to come in. Moving through a doorway into new experiences and then waiting to see them, you know, maybe come to fruition. You've put in your time, you've gone through, you've decided to take on a new path, and you've done what you've needed to do to establish it, and now you're simply waiting for something to happen, basically. I mean, theoretically, it could have something to do with being home right now, and we're waiting for a breakthrough. We aren't really going to see that though in this card. At least I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. But here we have the Hanged Man, the 12th card of the Major Arcana. Surrender to Spirit. And again, we're coming into a 22 energy tomorrow. Well, 22 year, but a 22 gateway opens tomorrow. And I think that again, we have the ability at that point to come into a better polarity, come into a better balance, so that we're not in such chaos. You know, there's nothing like some big disaster or something, you know, that gets people out of their headspace and gets them working with one another again to survive whatever just happened to them. And maybe it's just a little easier to know when a hurricane comes through, you see the devastation, you see the destruction, people are okay, but you know, businesses, maybe the business itself, the physical structure of it was destroyed. Where do you go to work tomorrow? You have no home. Where do you sleep tonight? So you see, it's a different kind of situation. We understand the immediacy of something like that. A virus, not so much. Because if it's, you know, like the type of flu viruses, you know, that we have experienced at all, if there's any element of it that's like it, then we want to go to that memory and use it as a basis for how we now deal with this. And we can't do that because it isn't the same thing. So it takes commitment and unity of behavior to get out in front of something that we have no other way of doing so. So where does that come from? Is that going to come from ego? No. It's going to come from a greater awareness of the truth. And that comes from spirit. Right now, we're in this weird spirit versus ego divide, where we have somebody in charge who's so ego-minded and so service to self that he can't understand. He uses everybody, and he's trying to convince them all that he's on their side and he's their guy and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, he's just using them. And they don't know it. They don't realize it because he's been so successful at conning them and making them believe that he's their guy and they're in lockstep. But they're in lockstep with a con man who's laughing his way out of the bank at everyone else's expense, you see. So we have to go in a line today. Take a moment and think and know. Allow spirit to inform your perceptions. Allow the 22 energy of the year and the gateway tomorrow to open things up for you, to bring things to a better balance, to a better alignment, so that you're aligned in spirit and not in fear and in ego. Because that's never going to, the ego's never going to be able to see the greater picture of this. The ego is about, I got to get my hair done and I need to buy paint. Well, put a mask on, put some gloves on and go buy your paint. You know, what are those big box home improvement stores not open in your area? I bet they are. Walmart's open. They have paint. Okay, you know, if we don't dye our hair, I stopped when I was 33, but you know, and this started at 16, so it was going to be what it was going to be a long time ago. This didn't just happen the other day. Maybe we need to restructure how we think about appearance, you know, or maybe you just wait, and when you can finally go back safely to a hair salon, and the hair salon can set up in a way that their people are safe and you're safe, and you know, maybe have limited numbers in at any given time. I don't know. There's probably going to be ways to restructure things so that we can get back to life as we used to know it. So we're going to get our hair done. All of these things are going to happen. But we need to understand that there's a greater issue at hand right now. We have a King of Swords. We see the clouds behind. We talked about this yesterday. That indicates deception. His sword is not fully upright. So he's trying to maintain power. It's angled to his right, our left, but his right. And so he's going to use deception in order to stay in control. If you look very, very closely, his eyes are looking askew to the left, hoping nobody notices. It must be tough to live your life that way, to live your life as a con artist, to live your life as somebody who deceives others. It must be very difficult to maintain that all the time. Eventually, you just create your own reality and you just expect everyone else to follow suit and to get on board. That's why you can look at the truth and say, oh, fake news. And if you get mad and you insult and if you insult the reporters saying whatever, asking the questions they're asking, then obviously you must be the victim and they're the bad guys. Not that the question asked is important and we got to get an answer from him, but he doesn't give you one. Yeah. The fact that this is happening again today, that we got this card again today, I've been sitting here shuffling. So it's not like, and I count 13, so it's not like they're sitting on the top from yesterday. They're not. I think that it's very significant that we need to align in spirit to understand the truth of what's going on with this guy. We've been waiting a long time. Those of us that have been paying attention, and I wanted to save this one for the last, the Three of Wands. We've been waiting. This is a card of active waiting. If you look way down at the bottom there, what looks like ground, it's actually water. And those are ships down there. Little boats, little buoys maybe, but they might just be little tiny ships with sails on them. But he's standing beyond the two staffs, isn't he? That's a familiar theme in tarot, but you can see his body's actually placed beyond those first two staffs, and he's holding on to the third. Okay. Now the three is about a certain kind of integrative balance. So you could say mind, body, spirit. You can also look at positioning, so past, present, future. Pyramid structure is the three. The three is kind of the foundation of life. You've got mother, father, and then the child. So you have the family structure established with the three. But our foundation in terms of this guy is obviously a merchant. You know, he's a man of means. You can tell by this, you can tell by actually this part of the garment. You can also tell by this, and you can also tell by the fact that he's got a wreath around his head, looks like, of some kind, or maybe it's not a wreath. Maybe it's a hat. I can't tell. I thought that was his hair above there, but you know, with my eyes, maybe not. I'll bet he's got a cap on. That could be, because the top of that doesn't really look like, it looks more like a strange little cap of some kind. If so, I've not seen it in tarot before, so I'm not sure what that is. So I just assumed it was his hair, but I don't think so. And I thought he had some kind of headband around, but maybe not. Maybe that's his hat, because you can kind of see a little light right there glistening off of it. So I'll bet it's a hat. But basically, he's well prepared for his future. He's waiting for his ship to come in. But the water is yellowish, isn't it? And it's almost like I likened it because it was with in conjunction with something else, and I don't remember the other cards. I think it was probably last week, but it looked kind of like the river Styx, because we didn't just have this we had this before, okay? And it looks like the river Styx that's clearing up. So some transformation has taken place, but it's not there yet. And so everything is still in Genesis. There's a fiery aspect of that water, okay? A yellowish aspect instead of blue. It's yellowish. And so you want to think that we're talking about the fires of Genesis, basically. So something will-oriented is on the horizon. So maybe it's going to become very obvious as cause and effect. It builds and gets worse, that we need to be collectively on the same page right now, and act in concert together against the deception of the king. I don't think we need a fourth card here, unless it's to modify the three, maybe. But we've got a 3 energy here. 12 reduces to 3. We have a 3 energy here. We have a 3 energy for the day. So in a sense, you know, we have a 333 gateway here. Let's look at one other thing about the 3. It's a catalyst. It also involves triple aspects. We talked about mind, body, spirit. We talked about Jupiter and Capricorn. Now, Jupiter in Capricorn is kind of like opposites. It's expansive, but yet diligent, right? So something is happening. Something is expanding, something is, but at the same time, there's a structure being established. And so it's basically the 3 energy in preparation, or if we look at it collectively as a 9 energy between this card, and the energy of the day, if we look at that as a 9 energy, then we're looking at completion. So perhaps the end of one cycle and the beginning of this gateway opening tomorrow, right? Maybe we could look at it that way. Let's see. Number of Hecate, of course. The middle path, yeah, in harmony with one another, definitely. It's the number of the sound Om. So, you know, that earth resonance, basically, that aligns you with that. Right now we have the 9th rune, so that's going to align with the hangman, the 3 of wands, and the 3 energy for today. We have Hagalas, the witch rune, the 9th rune of the Elder Futhark, one of the Norn runes. This is Norn rune of the past. And so basically we're going to destroy this foundation that we've got, and we're going to bring about something new, because that's what Hagalas is about. It's destruction and preparation for change, transmutation, transformation within a fixed framework. Whenever a witch works a spell, we work it within a container of sorts, either a mental container or a physical container. Maybe we do some herb magic in a cauldron. So we're using fire, we're using air, we're using earth, right? To work that spell. But basically, the cauldron itself would be the container. The magic circle or the sacred space you cast would be the energetic container for the working. So basically, what we're saying is that we want to have our fundamental spiritual structure there. We just want to get rid of the ego part of it. It's part of ascension, it's part of the awakening, it's part of our enlightenment and our awareness and our return to who we are as spiritual beings. The physicality of our existence here is just a vehicle to learn. And sure, maybe we're going to experience a life of hardship because maybe we had a life of plenty before in another expression, another soul expression, and maybe we weren't very good to people. Maybe we oppressed others, and now this go around, we're the ones who are oppressed, and we're seeing what that feels like. So we basically, the soul comes in to try to play out this drama, but again, does it really need to? I mean, you would think the soul could figure this out on its own. Well, it can. But somewhere along the line, we got hooked into this weird loop where we're trying to balance polarity in a way that instead of giving us the friction within, the nathis within, to survive something, instead, we use it to separate. And that's not what it was ever meant to be. It's why nathis is the friction within, the 10th rune of the Elder Futhark. That's another Norn rune dealing with the future, coming together, using that tension, that friction to move on into something new together, not individually, but together. And then finally, Isa, the 11th rune, the rune of the static realm, the third Norn rune, is about alignment and bringing and transmuting ego into spirit, which you don't do, by the way, by fully investing yourself in the ego and working your way out, because you're never going to. You got to be in spirit, change that frequency and be there, reside there, put your awareness there, watch the frequency rise. If ego wants any attention, it's going to have to catch up, and it's going to have to behave itself, right? So definitely, this is a time to transform and realign with one another and reject the chaos and division sown by the mad king, because the king is mad. There's going to come a moment where we're all going to know that, and we're all going to go forward in shared purpose together, and it may be now, because we have Populus as our geomancy rune. It's a series of 2 dots all the way down. Its opposite is Vaya, which would be single dots. And there is a new path, a new direction, but here, Populus reflects the group. And it reflects alignment together. It reflects, you can almost see the 22 in it, can't you? Because if you don't, I'll put the 2s above. That may be the best description right there, or depiction of what Populus and what coming together in harmony together is all about. This willingness that some have to walk away from the family, this willingness some have to this notion of rugged individualism. It's a divisive way of living, because it's not that you should be able to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and take care of your life. Because in one sense it means that, but the other is a sense of stubbornness that says, I'm going to go my own way, when the need to go in the same direction is ignored. And they would rather have resistance to that than to understand that for this moment, just to get through this, you can go back to doing your thing and whatever, but just know that when it's time to cooperate, you have to do that. So in other words, it's a perfect expression, excuse me, Vaya and Populus. There's so many, the juniper pollen is nutty outside right now, and it's just got me. I should have taken my nettle this morning and I didn't before starting this. But if you look at via, which is contained within populace, it's just that with just one side of it, basically. It's contained with it. The notion of the individual when we incarnate into form is contained within the notion of the collective. All right, that's all that means. It means you can go about your life, do your thing, but just understand that when it's time to come back together, we got to do that. When decisions have to be made, when a path has to form, we have to come back in populace. So I think that that's what we are doing here. We're aligning in spirit. We're having it inform the whole process. And we're taking a new path forward. One that rejects the division and brought about by the mad king and the lies and the deception. And we're going to go forward in shared purpose with populace. So there it is. I think we did it. So listen, again, tomorrow is that awesome 4/22/22 gateway opening. Again, focus on issues of unity and collective harmony and the collective path forward. I don't know if you can convince those that, that don't feel this way of their folly, because I believe it's folly. I don't know. They may just have to find this on their own. And I suppose, in normal times that's just how we do things. It's just sad that we have to do it that way this time, because I think that it's going to cost lives in the process. And, maybe they came into this life knowing that was going to happen, that they were going to fulfill that part of things so that they could then enlighten the rest of us to the path we need to be taking. I don't know. It's not easy to try to make sense of all of this right now. All it is just something that doesn't seem right and isn't right. So hopefully tomorrow's gateway that opens will impact people in a way that they never thought could. And maybe they'll find themselves in the coming weeks, hopefully sooner than that, though, because we don't have that kind of time. Maybe in the coming days, they make some realizations that change what they're doing and how they're doing it in a way that's a little more safe and that then ensures a better outcome for the rest of us. So anyway, stay safe, stay home, stay protected if you have to go out, and come back tomorrow and we'll visit again. Check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. steppingaside.com is the web address. I write stuff over on Patreon. I write stuff over on Medium, so check that out as well. I think I'm going to do something on Medium today. I'm not sure. We'll see how today goes. I'm doing a lot of seed transplants, a lot of stuff going on with the garden and getting ready for that still, and doing a lot of weeding from last year and clearing things out. And I've gotten a lot of it done, but I still have a little bit more to do. I have some stuff around the dome greenhouse to do, and I don't know. We'll see. I have to get the inside of that further cleaned out so that I think I'm going to plant my cauliflower in there this year and some other stuff, but I'm not doing the tomatoes in there this time, and I'm going to try to control the crazy growth of all the stuff that comes up on its own a little better than I did last year. It really got away from me, and the poppies and the daisies were everywhere, and I have to go transplant them around this year. So spread their love everywhere. Anyway, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another, and blessed be.